Welcome to our clarity and focus session. Today, we're talking about how we set ourselves apart from the competition in the marketplace. And right now, because a lot of people who are just starting out, there are people who are freelancers trying to build their way into the market, and there are agencies that are trying to scale into the market. I'm going to demonstrate to you some businesses that didn't start very long ago that have turned into multi-million-dollar agencies purely through the way that they've differentiated themselves from the pack in the marketplace. So I'm going to go through some of the key elements of that differentiation, and I'm actually going to go through and how do you apply some of these ideas. I'm going to demonstrate those things to you, and more importantly, going to be answering your questions on this training. So thank you for being here. We are day 56 days in a row that I've been running these live sessions from Monday to Sunday on tactical things, strategic things, business things, to grow your agency. If you haven't seen them, just go to our YouTube channel, Consulting Unleashed, and you'll grab all the videos. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you turn the notification on, because then you'll see the videos pop up from these live trainings that I'm running every single day. Go to Consulting Unleashed Facebook group if you haven't already. Turn on notifications. We actually upload these trainings, and also we have other resources that we place in the Consulting Unleashed Facebook group. If you want to know more, just go to consultingunleashed.com/go, G-O. You'll be able to access all the materials, and we've also got a cool free training for you at consultingunleashed.com/go, G-O. So with that, let's get into what I've been cooking up in the labs for your presentation. I'm going to be sharing my screen. Let's get into this. All right. So we hit the play button. So stand out from the crowd. Fastest way to scale your agency with clarity and focus. So what does it mean to stand out from the crowd? There are a couple of things that we need to take into consideration here. Number one, we need to think differently. We need to think differently from what we're doing, because people are going to pay attention to things that are different. People are going to pay attention to new things. People are going to pay attention to highlight things that are highlighted as a problem. We need to start thinking differently about what we do and how we differentiate the market, because there's a whole bunch of people who are watching these videos and on this here jumping into, they're doing Facebook ads and AdWords and funnels. And so all of a sudden you've got to think a little bit differently so you do stand out from the crowd. Number two, you need to act differently. I'm going to demonstrate to you the being of acting differently in the marketplace. That's going to differentiate you. And number three, you need to be different. You need to be different in the marketplace. If you're not different in the marketplace, you're going to look like every other commoditized also ran. And how does somebody choose you over and above a competitor in the market? The world doesn't need another lead generation agency. The world does not need another lead generation agency, because there are hundreds of thousands of lead generation agencies, and they are right across Asia, America, the Americas, North and South, through Europe. There are hundreds of thousands of agencies out in the marketplace. That doesn't mean the market is saturated. It is not saturated by any means, shape or form. We've had clients at Consulting Champions in our coaching programs that started from zero, from scratch, in the last couple of months, build $700,000 worth of revenue in 2 months. And they are playing in the space of other people in the pool. But at the end of the day, if you are just another lead agency out there peddling the same stuff, then you're playing the commoditized game in the marketplace. So what you want to be is, how do you become the red juicy apple amongst all those green apples in the marketplace? That's the consideration when you're looking at business these days. This is the consideration when you want to make impact on the world these days. You want to start grabbing attention in different ways in the marketplace, because if you're an also-ran out there, if you're not solving problems, if you're not getting creative and innovative in your approaches, then you're just going to be left to the mercy of the market. And you don't want to do that. And let me tell you, you don't have to be big to look amazing, or you don't have to be big to make a big impact in the marketplace. I've built many businesses from scratch to multi-8-figure businesses in very short spaces of time, purely by thinking about how to be different in a crowded space sometimes. Right, so I'm going to go through some of the concepts. I'm going to be able to answer some questions along the way. So let's get into it. I'm going to show you some websites that are really cool, just to give you perspective, but let's get into it. Define your differentiating factor. Really important to answer these 4 key questions. Question number 1, what do you do? What service and channels do you know best? If you're going to deliver a service to the market, the fastest way to get into the market is where you have a sense of familiarity. If you have a little bit of familiarity, you understand the problems of where you came from, it's much easier to sell to those markets. David Strother, one of our guys, one of our champions, he had worked in the accounting industry for years. He was an accountant. He ran an accounting practice. He wanted to become a marketer. He became a marketer at the tentative age of 84. Can you imagine starting a new job, a new agency business? You've been an accountant all your life, and you're going to be now an agency person at 84. Came to me a few years back, very quickly built his agency business at 84. I'll say that number again, right? But who does he service? He services accounting firms and financial firms, because that was where he was familiar with in the market. He knew what the problems were, so he could solve the problems in the market. So sometimes, rather than going, I want to go open up a new blue ocean or a new market, sometimes we need to look at parts of markets that you might have some experience and familiarity with. Or if you're using a resource partner like Global Soul Marketing here, and they've got a familiarity with a particular market where they get great results consistently, then you can piggyback off their ability to actually build results into a niche market. But the question you got to ask yourself is, what do I do? So what services and channels do we know best? Who do we know best? And essentially, what do we provide that market? Essentially, the more we know the channel, the more we know the problems, the more we can approach and solve those problems, right? But that's the key to this idea. The next one is, what do you do for? What do you do it for, right? Who do you do it? Who do you do it for, right? What niches do we understand? What niches do we know? What niches do we have familiarity with? Are there similar niches to where we've had experiences where we can cross-pollinate? Right? If we look at some of our resource partners, they actually have specialities in niches that they can help you with. But who do you do it for becomes a very critical factor in the ability for you to start to differentiate into the marketplace. The next question, how do we do it? How do our values and beliefs change the way that we work? How do our values and beliefs change the way that we work with our clients, right? In terms of understanding what their needs are and what their problems are, and how do we align ourselves to say, hey, we're here, right, to help you and support you in your marketplace, because we have this understanding. We have a belief, confidence, commitment to what you do in the marketplace. So how do we do it? Not how do we physically do what we do, right? How does it change? How do we value ourselves? How does the market perceive that value to us? And what are our beliefs that we, in terms of how we change the way that we approach that with our market, right? Because if we go cookie cutter and if we do same old, then naturally what's going to happen is you're going to turn into a commodity, and you're always going to be looking for the next client, and you'll never make any money in this business, right? So you need to be really clear about the value that you deliver, the belief, the way that you change people's perceptions and connect that emotional connection with your prospective customers. And then why do we do it? What is our shared purpose? Why do we want to support the chiropractic industry? Why do we want to help plumbers? Why do we want to help electricians? Why do we want to help hairdressing salons? Why do we want to help that? The more strength you have in the purpose you deliver, right, the more you're going to attract and engage that market. A breakthrough, one of our purposes is to make physical therapy first choice as a healthcare provider by 2030. So no longer when you have a bad back, you're going to go call a chiropractor. When you have a bad back, you're going to call a physical therapist. So our value, our purpose is to change the behavior of making sure that the wider community gets back to normal health with a professional who is probably the primary professional to provide their services to the community in terms of healthcare. So our vision is to turn physical therapy into the primary choice of healthcare when it comes to back pain or musculoskeletal or neuroskeletal pain in the body. Right? Go to a physical therapist, don't go to a chiropractor. My apologies to the chiropractic world, but that's just the idea. The idea is that purpose is to make that group of people first choice. And that group of people believes in themselves that they deliver an outstanding service, an outstanding level of healthcare to the marketplace. So we have in the agency a shared purpose between ourselves and the market. What are you doing? Why are you doing what you do? Right? And how does that help the marketplace. One of the things that we're doing at Consulting Unleashed is we're becoming very, very closely aligned to creating supporting sustainable causes, sustainable projects. And so we're looking for ways to raise revenue for things like entrepreneurial ventures, to help social community with education, with food, with technology, with innovation. Right? So we're creating a social enterprise in our company to not be the company that just helps people to scale their consulting or their agency or their marketing agencies. We want to be that agency that does that, that creates a better world, a more sustainable world, one that encourages and supports opportunity in areas where resources are needed to be able to lift communities and societies and economies up into the marketplace. That excites the crap out of me. Right? I'm so super excited about that. And you're going to see more of that at the end of this presentation, right? That impact, the fact that we can have an impact as a community with the agencies in the world, to be able to impact on other communities in the world socially with sustainable projects, to me is way more fun than sitting there thinking about how I'm going to be a better agency, right? That's part of what we do, right? The key here is, what is the impact of what we do to the market? Why do we do it? Why do we do it for the people we work with? Why do we do it for ourselves? Connect with that idea, and that becomes a vision, that becomes a major attraction point for other people who align themselves with why you do what you do. Bigger thinking, different, remember, think differently, be different, act different, right? Think bigger. Most of us think so small. Right? Think bigger. If we think bigger, then we have much bigger impact. We're going to attract a much larger audience to the impact that we make. So I'm going to walk you through an interesting study that was done just recently. HubSpot did this thing. They asked agencies what types of agencies people are hiring, right? And a couple of the things that came up in this, 30% of the people, businesses they approach in the marketplace, want to work with a lead agency that handles all their digital and traditional assignments. They don't want to bring it in-house. They want to work with an agency that specializes and handles all their requirements when it comes to leads, right? The second thing, 27% of the market surveyed, is they wanted to maintain a roster of highly specialized digital agencies, search, campaign, work application development, right? They wanted to have access to an AdWords agency, have a Facebook agency, not to have a multi-driven agency house, but to actually go to specialized people who are experts in their field, and this is what they do really well. And that's what they wanted to, that's what, nearly 30% of the market wants to hire you for your speciality, right? People are hiring for high levels of specialization, and they're hiring to consolidate their marketing. We've just had a major political, economic, and health event occur in the world, and this has caused people to rationalize how they do business. Some people have wiped out their entire marketing departments. Now they're sitting there going, holy crap, we need to market, and we've got to go and find those marketers who will help us get results and response faster in the market. So 20%, nearly 30% of the market is looking for you right now, desperately, right? They also want to maintain a mix of full service and highly specialized digital agencies. They also want to rely on one or more full service digital agency to handle their digital assignments. So this is telling you that they're out there looking for people with skills to get results in the areas that they need impact on their business. To me, this statistic and from this survey is super, super exciting, because this is what's going on in our world, and this is why we have such a huge opportunity in the marketplace. So how do we differentiate ourselves in the market, right? We want to be industry. One of the fastest ways, the easiest way to differentiate is to be industry focused, niche market focused, right? If we are niche market focused, then that market identifies us, that we support that market. If we are an everything agency to everyone, it's going to be very hard for people to pigeonhole you. And this is the thing, people want to pigeonhole you. They want to go, what is it that you do, right? We help this type of business. Great, so if I'm going to need this type of service, or if I know somebody in this industry, I need to come and talk to you. Right, so if we're industry focused, if we're niche focused, then we're going to open ourselves up to differentiating ourselves from the market, right? I don't want to be the agency for everyone. I want to be the best agency for this thing. I want to find a niche that is an inch wide and a mile deep, right? There are consultants that I work with that only have about 1,000 prospective customers in their market, and they're generating $3 to $4 million worth of revenue. So there's only 1,000 customers in their niche market. They work with about 40 of them, 40 of the 1,000, and that generates a few $1 million worth of revenue a year, right? but the niche is so tight. Ken, one of the guys I worked with, works in a particular niche. The skyscraper window cleaning niche. There's about 400 companies in the skyscraper window cleaning niche in the United States, just in the US, not in Europe, not in the UK, Australia, just in the United States, right? The average contract is about $100,000 to $1 million, depending on the size of the building, right? So there's not a lot of people in that market, but Ken is an expert of getting these guys leads and jobs for skyscrapers. And so he works with about 25 of these 400 companies, and 25 of these 400 companies provide him with $1.8 million worth of revenue in his 3-person agency, because he's very narrowly, very specifically focused. He only works with that market. And in fact, if you went to a window cleaning company and said, who are the guys that do the marketing for the window cleaning company, they would all name Ken, because they know Ken. They all know him. They all know that this is the guy. This is it. We've had a whole bunch of other guys come to the market, but the guy that is a specialist in an area, he's the expert. We go to Ken. This is a 26-year-old kid who's become an expert in marketing for this skyscraper window cleaning business. Right? Teeny tiny niche, big revenue. You imagine being 26 years old, running a $1.8 million agency, and you get to keep half of that money every year for yourself as part of your net. If you do the math, that's not a bad income for a 26-year-old. Right? Pretty cool, considering that he only has 3 team members, only specialize in one niche. Industry focus. So big example is thomasnet.com. They only focus on manufacturers. Thomas Manufacturing Marketing Solutions are engineered to work together to keep your business top of mind in your market buyers at all stages and drive them towards a purchase. They Thomas for industry, Thomas for manufacturing. Notice they use the word manufacturing 2 or 3 times on the page, right? They're telling people who they serve in the market. So you can differentiate by being very clear about the audience that you serve in the way that you run your branding. You'll even notice that this is a boring ass website, right? And by the way, it's a terrible website. However, manufacturers want to see websites that manufacturers have in the marketplace. Manufacturers aren't very savvy when it comes to marketing. They're not really great. So if Thomas were very creative and very excitable in their design, in their user interface, it would actually detract from their market. There's a reason why they have a boring ass website, right? It's because the people that they work with are very pragmatic. They're not looking for flair. They're not looking for excitement. They're looking for people who understand their industry. So Thomas has created their industry. You'll notice that the watermark is manufacturing silos and pipes and stuff like that. So even the imagery on this site relates to the market that they serve. But it's really bland, really basic. However, these guys are the experts in the market when it comes to the manufacturing industry. So differentiating by niche, very, very powerful for your business. Next, be the best. Be the best in the market. So let me give you an example of the best. We all know Gary VaynerMedia, right? VaynerMedia started 10 years ago. It is a $150 million agency in 10 years. $150 million, right? In 10 years. What are they great at? They're awesome at social media, right? They're recognized as a very strong social media company. By the way, their biggest markets are not the big brand names. The biggest markets are the solopreneurs, right? Independent influencers and people around the market are paying them 125 to 250 grand for social media marketing services. VaynerMedia, his presence in the market and his speed to market communication, cadence, the voice, the leadership has created an incredible agency. He started this agency with his brother 10 years ago, just coming out of the recession, right? The last recession, or just coming out of the last recession. And they built this company to $150 million. And now they've just launched another media company as well, which is capped out at multi-7 figures over the last couple of years. So be the best in the market, right? Another be the best in the market, A2G, Social Digital Experiment. These guys are one of the fastest growing agencies in the Inc. 5000 list. They are super creative, totally focused on social, but what they've done is they've created a huge impact in the market. They've got a big name with a lot of brands, and they've only done it in a really short space of time. I'm talking about I think they're only been around for about 3 or 4 years, not very long, but they're crushing it in the market, right? Because they've put themselves as one of the best social media agencies in the world, right? Which is crazy. And if you look at, I'm going to show you the site later on, very dynamic, very on point with the brand, very strong in the way they represent themselves in the market, right? So solve unique problems, right? That's the other thing, is if you are the expert in a unique problem, then you can differentiate yourself very quickly. Sometimes being the niche within the niche, not being the niche itself. So what do I mean by that? So for example, Sergey, one of the guys we work with in Consulting Champions, he specialized on a particular procedure in dental work called the All-on-4. It is a 4-anchored dental implant, top and bottom, about $40,000 to $50,000 for the procedure per patient. He built an entire agency and a system to deliver a highly targeted, highly qualified patient to the dental practice that specialized in All-on-4. He had a lead magnet that worked brilliantly. He had a filtering process. So the only patients that came to his client, to his practice he worked with, and by the way, it was about 10 grand a month to utilize his services. It wasn't cheap. But here's the thing. What he did was he differentiated by going deep into the niche. The problem was that it was the money, the financing and the money side. You know, not everybody can go and afford $40,000 to fix their teeth, right? So he would have a filtering process that absolutely qualified the patient for that sub-niche, qualified the patient for that sub-niche. And so he could only deliver patients that actually had the credit to be able to buy that service. They were highly prized leads. Because if you think, if he got you 10 of these leads, and if you were really good at what you did and you closed 5 of them, that's $250,000 worth of procedures, right? So he specialized by going into a niche within a niche. So he only did this thing. I can give you countless examples. Like if, for example, I was talking to a company a few weeks ago and they specialized in car finance for plumbing business. They only do car finance they work the car finance market, but they generate plumbing leads who want to buy commercial vehicles and they need to finance them. So they go to work for car finance companies who want to attract plumbers who want to invest in buying commercial vehicles, vans, trucks, that sort of stuff. That's all they do. They literally, that's their specialization. The only thing they bring to the market is, do you want to help plumbers buy cars or buy commercial vehicles? We specialize in delivering plumbers who want to buy commercial vehicles. That's the lead. Now, this lead agency, they're making about $80,000 a month, right? Just selling leads for car financing for plumbers, niche within the niche. One of my favorite companies, a company called Sylvan Labs. This company has emerged in the market basically as the company you go to if you want to be first to market with a product or service. They have put themselves out there as a specialist agency that if you're going to go to market and you want to be first, you want to be the leader and outperform the competition, that's what they specialize in. That's their whole thing. Their whole strategy revolves around you being fastest and first to market. That's all they do. They provide traditional models of marketing, but their speciality is to blast the market with launches. That's what they do. They're specialists in launches. And the idea is, how do we get your product, brand, and message out ahead of the competition? That's their specialization. So this is taking brand specialization down to a core factor of speed to market and first to market, right? That's what they do. So this is sylvanlabs.com. So next, pricing models. You can differentiate yourself on price. Some people like to be transparent on price. Some people don't like to be transparent on price. They do custom pricing, right? But you can differentiate yourself or position yourself in the market using pricing type structures. I'm going to share a model with you in just a moment. So here's the thing. If we look at a table of if we looked at where the market was, right? The least expensive providers in the market, the middle providers in the market, and the most expensive providers in the market. Each of these categories have a strength or a hold where people make the value proposition in the investment at that service level. So at the top end of the market, and you're working with the top creatives, right? These guys know how to charge hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars on campaigns, right? They're the guys that create the $4 million Super Bowl campaigns, right? They know that the company's going to be having budgets of millions of dollars. So they are at the top echelon. That's where they play. And let me tell you, that pond at the top is really small, right? The competition, there isn't a lot of competition at the top. right? Now, more competition at the middle. The top of the market and the bottom of the market is trying to eat away at the middle market. But there are people who are middle tier type agencies who don't charge millions of dollars. They might charge $200,000 or $300,000 or $400,000 on a campaign, and they specialize in a particular service model, but they actually price point that they use pricing structures to separate themselves from those markets. And then you've got the people at the bottom level that will always be the cheapest. There's always going to be somebody who's going to be $1 cheaper than you, and it turns it into a commodity. And this is where the large portion of the market is in that bottom category. Now, the thing with pricing models is that you can use it to your advantage. So I'm going to give you an example here. A company called PR2020.com. Transparent pricing. One of the things in the PR world is people don't show their pricing. You have to sit down and go through the process. Here, they want to tell you right up front that this is what you're going to pay if you come and use our PR firm on a month-to-month basis. And you'll notice they've been very clever to say, hey, the Pro Pack one is the one that everybody buys, the one that people get the most value from. This is the one you want to choose. And they've highlighted that price point to say, hey, of the 5 sectors, which one do you believe is the one that is best suited to you? And the one that they often say is the one that everybody buys is this Pro Pack, this $8,000 a month package, right? But they are very transparent on their prices. Hey, we don't want to hide the pricing with you. We want to be right up front, right? These are our services. Here's our price. You know that before you go into the marketplace. And by the way, PR 2020, very, very successful agency. Very successful agency. So pricing model is a differentiator, very, very important. So have an attitude. Now, this is different again. Be different, do different. Remember, being different, thinking differently, right? Having an attitude towards the market is a way that you can differentiate yourself in the market. So you can be aggressive, you can be innovative or creative, but demonstrate the point. So a really cool example of this is a company called noblepeople.com. And so their thing is cutting edge starts with cutting the crap. Right? They're a media agency that I'm going to show you the website in a moment because their actual banner is blank, right? They talk about cutting the crap, let's get to the source, right? They've got an attitude in the way that they deliver to the market, and it attracts a lot of attention because it's like, hey, we just want to, we're the people here that want to get it done. All the bells and whistles, all the bullshit that people buy into, you don't need that. We want to go direct to the result. That's what we do. Cut the crap, get the result, right? So they have an attitude, right? They've got a feel and an edginess to what they do in the marketplace. So using an attitude can differentiate yourself. I'm going to share a company that's got a really cool attitude in just a moment. You're going to love this. And it's a really odd name for an agency. But it just shows you how you can be a little bit different to the marketplace. By the way, all the agencies I'm sharing with you have not been around for a very long time, but in relatively short spaces of time, they've all built themselves into multi-7-figure agencies. So here's the thing, act differently, right? We talk about act differently. Here's one of my favorites. This is a company called Wexley.com. The actual agency is called the Wexley School for Girls, right? It's a simple, is simply an advertising agency. So the company's called the Wexley School for Girls. Doesn't relate anything to marketing, but I'm going to read you, this is straight off their page. I'm going to show you the site in a minute. So an agency that's probably the best agency in the solar system. Actually, we are more than an ad agency. We are a fan factory, a modern think tank with ideas so big, we had to extend the roof. And the people so good looking that we had to put in extra mirrors, and the brain's so intelligent that Mensa wanted to borrow some of the stem cells, and the arms and the legs and the pecs so buff that the MMA denied our collective application to fight. Sure, we're an advertising agency, but we're so much more. And if you don't believe us, look at our work, read about us, or look at our people. Just contact us or read this all again in the most prestigious language ever, Latin. And when you click the Latin button, it actually turns this whole website into Latin, right? So Wexley, the School for Girls, which is an odd name for an agency, right? They do some pretty amazing work based out of Seattle, have taken on this idea of being a little bit different, right? Standing out from the crowd in terms of the marketplace. So these are little things that you can do to maximize the opportunity to change perhaps the perception of the way you think, right? So create an industry event, be a leader. This is one way where you can differentiate yourself. I've used this strategy very successfully with multiple agencies that I've owned. With Breakthrough, we literally built a multi-million-dollar agency off the back of creating an industry event-based business, and we've sold hundreds and hundreds of agencies in hundreds of local markets by using this as a strategy. And I still use this, I still believe in this strategy today, only right now we're doing it web virtual. And I hate that word virtual. Somebody reminded me, said, listen, when we're on live, when we're like this interacting live on video, we're actually not virtual, we're actually here in the real. So this is not a virtual, this is a real engagement or a real connection that you're having with your audience, because if they can visually see you, you're there, you're right, you are live, you're showing up, right? And so there's nothing virtual about it. It's actually real. So create an industry event. One of the key things that you can do is, if there's a problem in the market and you can solve the problem. In fact, if you look at a few of the trainings we looked at back a little further ago, we talked about this concept and this idea of the think tank strategy. We've even had a few people that are watching these series apply the think tank strategy and go and generate client opportunities, make sales by actually creating an industry specific event. Now, it doesn't have to be this huge 20, 100, 200 people event. It could be as little as 5 or 10 people. We built the back of a multi-8-figure agency by running breakfast for 10 people every other week, so 20 people a month. We would turn 8 to 10 of those people into clients every single month. 8 to 10 of those people would be 60,000 plus per client. Do the math, right? Hard to grow an agency really, really quick by doing something a little bit unique. So what if you could actually solve a problem that the market has and invite the market to come and see how to solve that problem? Teach people what you know. It's one of the ways that you differentiate yourself. It's one of the ways you create authority. It's one of the ways that you open yourself up to people asking more questions, because they see you as the expert in the marketplace. So creating an event, right, and being a leader, being a leader doesn't mean you have to be a leader for an entire industry. Being a leader for a group of businesses, even a small group of businesses, you are the leader. You're the person they're looking to for ideas, for change, for innovation, to do things better. Right. So understand, and I'm going to open up to questions in just a moment, right? Understand that one of the ways I know, one of the problems is people need to generate sales. They need to generate sales relatively quickly and relatively easily. And so what I did was I've put this web event for good. If you haven't bought a ticket, a lot of people have, go to consultingunleashedlive.com. By the way, we are almost full to capacity, so these tickets are running out fairly quickly. But we put this event on, and it's happening on the 23rd of May, which is at the end of this week on Saturday. Essentially, what's included in the price is I'm actually going to show you a lead source to get highly qualified leads in the marketplace, how to get them, how to get verified emails, and how to engage them. They're going to talk about creating, looking at the hottest niche markets that are looking to buy your services. Then I'm going to provide you with copy, 20 different examples of copy that you can use to go to the market that have already been tested, have already worked and generated opportunities and sales. Then I'm going to go and take you through a 5-step simple sales process to follow. If you follow this sales process through, you will allow the customer to buy into you in that process. If you close, the idea is to close a sale with an agreement and a ticket and a credit card, right? How to get payment up front, not how to wait for the invoice. I'm going to show you to invoice the client on the spot and get them to pay on the spot. None of this follow, chase the up rubbish, right? So this is what I'm going to teach on this Sales Blitz Intensive on the 23rd of May. I'm also going to show you how to close 6 deals in 60 days, 1 deal every 10 days without having a massive list, right? All the recordings, all the slides, everything will be provided in a private members area, and it's $97 for the ticket. Now, the ticket is a ticket for good. You're going to get to, if you buy the ticket, so far we've helped hundreds and hundreds of families get solar lamps for their home. People who don't have electricity are going to have solar lamps. They have lighting in the evening. With 5 women, for every ticket that's sold, 5 women are going to get vocational and jobs training that they can support their families and gain independence for themselves. And every ticket buys one child an entire year's worth of education. One kid's going to have their education paid for an entire year from this $97 ticket. So if you want to spend some time with me getting really deep and focused on getting the active engagement and revenue opportunities, and make sure you go to consultingunleashedlive.com, book yourself a ticket. It's $97. The ticket is for good. It has a huge impact on the market. Like I said, we've actually impacted on over 1,000 families through the ticket sales already, which is amazing. I'm super, super excited. It's probably one of the things that I'm most passionate about right now is looking at supporting sustainable projects in the world. And I thought this was a great way to do it. The example of holding the event in the market to open up the opportunities for yourself. So I want to show you, just walk you through some of the websites that I have been sharing with you, just to give you the perspective in the reels, and then I'll be able to answer your questions. So let me just do the share again properly, and we can just share some of the sites. So this is A to G. I don't know if you actually see this, so you should be able to see this. This is A to G. They are part of a company called Duncan Cannon. They are very well versed in the way that they do digital and social in the marketplace. You'll see they're very dynamic, they're very creative, they've worked on amazing projects. Look at all the companies they've worked with. They haven't been around for very long, but they have a great impact. VaynerMedia, we all know Gary Vee has been doing some amazing things. Sabra, the Super Bowl commercial, Peanuts commercials, working with J-Lo, so working with brands. We all know Gary VaynerMedia has grown to a behemoth as one of the biggest media companies in the world in the space of 10 years. We've got this company here, Transparent Pricing, PR 2020. They literally tell people right up front, hey, we just want to be super clear that you know exactly what you're getting for your money. So this is their differentiation in the marketplace. Noble, this company is pretty cool. When we first get to this website, this panel is blank, right? This panel is just blank. It doesn't say anything, right? You actually have to scroll into, very much driven by the awards that they've won in the industry. But look at how blank and plain this is, right? We got the crap, no bull people, but look at the companies that they work with, right? Allbirds, Braintree, Bumble, Glossier, they work with some Venmo, Zappos. Look at all the brands that they've worked in the marketplace in their agency, right? Highly regarded, highly recognized in the marketplace. The industrial guys, Thomas, everything manufacturing. Look at their, we're engineering based, right? Manufacturing is very engineering based industry. So what do engineers have? They have flow charts and work diagrams that they work through, right? So they've built this, hey, the need, the research, design, the evaluation, shortlist, the purchase, right? Walking through to a sale. Laundry.com, this company is really clever and creative. They do a lot of viral marketing, work with amazing brands. They've built some pretty amazing projects in the marketplace, but again, very dynamic, very positioned. This is a relatively new agency, by the way, right? This is good old Wexley, the Wexley School for Girls, simply an ad agency. The reason I want to show you this is when I click the Latin button, it turns all the writing into Latin, right? The last thing that they said was, if you want to read all this again in the most prestigious language ever, you can read it in Latin. So here they are, you hit Latin and it communicates everything that it just said in Latin. So I'm going to stop that share right now, just for a moment. Yes, there will be a Q&A. Thank you, Damien. I really appreciate you being here. So any questions on differentiating or positioning yourself differently in the marketplace? I'd love to know what your takeaways are. If you've had a takeaway, what's the takeaway? Just type it in the chat because I'm happy to answer some questions here. But, to me, this is something where if you really think it through, it can be an absolute game changer for your business. When you really start to think about how you can be different, how you can actually add value in a different way, perhaps how you can position yourself in a different way, it makes it a lot easier for clients to actually be attracted, or it makes it a lot easier for clients to engage you in the service you provide in the marketplace. So happy to answer any questions here if you have any questions. Also, if you are using current skills to make yourself subject matter expert to prospect, yes. Quality over quantity, yeah, doing the quality. Was that engineering agency servicing engineering companies? They were serving manufacturing companies, and manufacturing firms are very engineering based, Chris. They're engineering based, yeah. Any takeaways from what I've shared? How would you apply this to your business if you were going to apply it? What did you pick up on what I shared? Right now, do you look like everybody else, or how are you different? I'd love to have somebody actually answer that question. How are you different from anybody else in your market that you provide your service in? What makes you different if you are looking to position yourself? Craig says niche down, trying to be everything to everyone. Yeah, don't be everything to everyone. Now, by the way, I want to put a caveat on this, right? Because it's really weird. I get a lot of shtick from people who say that I might have some contradicting messages when it comes to the type of business that you want to grow. There is nothing wrong with being a full service agency. There is plenty of room in the market for a full service agency. The challenge that comes with a full service agency is that you have to custom your projects. If you have to custom your projects, then you have to charge a premium, a much higher level, if you go custom by custom by custom to every single project, right? And most people undercharge for what they do. So most full service agencies, by the way, we have a number of full service agencies and consulting champions that I'm coaching, and they do really well. I'm talking seven-figure agency, multi-seven-figure agencies, living in remote locations, building great businesses, being the full service agency in the market. However, it comes with challenges. So you need really good teams, really good execution, and it also becomes very difficult to become an expert, right, in terms of what you do. So a lot of full service agencies, one of the things they're very good at is they're very good at selling strategy, right? We have a number of champions who've actually pivoted into selling strategy first and allowing a customer to select the areas that they need to focus on in terms of the reach of the marketing. So I'm not suggesting that you have to be one product, one offer, one market. I'm not suggesting that that has to be your thing. You can be full service, but if you're going to be full service, you want to be very clear about who you're going to help in the market, right? Because not having one core offer, having several offers, means that you're going to be diluted in what you do. It's going to be very hard to get some traction in the marketplace. And that's why niching is so powerful. And that's why having one core service offering is also very powerful. Having multiple core service offerings, hard to do. Remember what I said at the beginning. People want to pigeonhole you, right? Do you do websites, do you AdWords, do you Facebook, do you SEO? What do you do, right? Oh, we specialize in SEO. Our job or our goal is to help you be found. We want you to be found in the market, right? That's what we're really good at, yeah? So we have specialists, we have consulting champions. I'm talking seven-figure agencies that only specialize in one thing. They only do AdWords, they only do Facebook, they only do SEO for a specific market, right? So niching and having one core offer as opposed to several core offers, you can grow your business a lot faster by doing that, because you can focus on getting really, really good at this one thing. And then the key thing is who is going to have the impact, or who do you impact the most with in the marketplace to get that opportunity done, right? So just to not to create any confusion, nothing wrong with being a full service agency. Perfectly fine, lots of room for full service agencies, right? However, you got to work harder. You have to make sure you charge a premium for custom jobs. You can't cookie cut a full service. Very hard to do, right? You can productize elements of your full service, but ultimately it's going to be difficult to do that. So leverage and scale means you have to hire teams, you have to hire specialists, you have to you have to build your brand to be recognized in that marketplace. If you're a niche, way cheaper, way easier, a lot faster, right? So that's the thing. Second thing, the types of customers you go after. I talk about going customers that have a budget, right? That you must go to. So anybody that's already spending money on marketing, that's the first primary qualifier. If they're not spending any money on marketing, I'm not going to go look for them as a client, because that means I have to educate them. If they don't spend money on marketing and advertising, that means they don't value marketing and advertising. So I'm not going to go and educate somebody who doesn't value what I do, because I have to convince them that this is what they do. Now, if I have to convince them, then they're going to watch every single dollar, or they're going to say, hey, how can I do this amazing marketing for the cheapest amount of money? So we're going to work with people who don't have a budget, who don't value marketing, who are going to have unrealistic expectations. So these are all roadblocks and friction points. And this is why I would choose companies that spend money on marketing first, before I look at markets where they don't spend money on marketing, right? Because too much education in the markets that don't spend money. So think about it. Is the person you're going after right now spending money on what you sell, right? Or are they spending money on marketing, and how do you support or complement that marketing activity for their business, right? That's a big qualifier for me. So there's two things, and I say this in my trainings, but I also say, and there's two dichotomies. So there's two conflicting ideas working in the same realm, right? Because some people say, hey, John, but you said this, and then you go and say this. I just want to be super clear, because this also has a point of differentiation. So here's the thing. At one level, right, I would target companies 5 million plus. The reason why I target companies 5 million plus is because at that level, you've got about 30 to 50 employees. 30 to 50 employees means you've got to feed mouths. You're responsible for a team. You might have inventory. You might have an office. You might have an infrastructure you have to pay for, but you have to go out and acquire customers. So at that $5 million mark, you have to spend money, and you're going to allocate a certain amount of your money, generally about 5% to 8%, right? So between $250,000 and $400,000 worth of revenue is going to be allocated towards marketing. Now, if I'm looking for clients that want to spend 100 grand, then I've got to look to companies that are in that $5 to $10 million category. Those companies will spend 100 grand all day long on marketing services, right? And more, right? So that means I can differentiate. Are they spending money on marketing? Are they big enough that they have to actually go and acquire customers? Yes. 2 qualifiers. Now, there are a lot of businesses, and we have a few of these champions that I work with and coach, that actually have clients at the lower end of the market. They're dealing with clients at $500,000 to $1.5 million at the lower end of the market, right? They don't have big budgets. They might have between between $12,000 and $30,000 to spend on their marketing, right? Which is still good. You can build $1 million agency out of clients that spend $1,000 a month. You're just going to work with a lot more clients, right? You're going to have a lot more clients to work with. So you're going to have to cookie cutter your service or productize your service. You're going to have to niche. You're going to have a process that sells and retains those customers at a lower level, because your margins need to be tight, right? You've got to make a profit. So I'll give an example. I worked with an agency, and we slapped them around a little bit. They were servicing the lower end of the market. They were doing $2 million worth of revenue, but when we looked at the profit and loss at the end of every month, they were losing $5,000 every month they were in business. So generating $180,000 in cash in the business, but they were spending $185,000 to get 180 grand, right? Every month. So at the end of the year, they're going to be $60,000 in the red, right? How would you like to work for an entire year, generate $2 million worth of capital and not keep any of that money? That's insane, right? That's because their margins were wrong and they were servicing the lower end of the market, right? But they weren't looking at their margins. So I do know businesses that service that $1,000 a month market, and they are making margins. They make between $400 and $500 every time they make a sale from that lower end of market. So the cost ratio is low. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't go after the cheaper market. There's a lot of people in the cheap market, right? Lots of people in the cheap market, and there's money to be made in the cheap market. The challenge is you have to build systems and processes, and you have to work on volume and on scale to be able to actually make any money, right? Shamil, I did more laps, and I had a call just before the webinar that gave me a great differentiator idea that I'd like to share. Okay, Shamil, I'll talk about that. Just answering some questions here. I understand, like no other agency, US Hispanic market, translate a message is enough. You need to understand the culture, the journey, the journal. This is my differentiation. Yes, Oscar, absolutely. If you understand the Hispanic market and you understand business in the Hispanic market, and you understand that the acquisition of leads in the Hispanic market is actually cheaper than the English-speaking market in the English-speaking world, you have a point of differentiation. You're differentiating based on culture and based on a group, right? A group of people, an identifiable group of people, a race of people that you can serve in the marketplace. I have, in the United States, Oscar, and in the Latin American markets and in the Spanish markets in Europe, right, there is massive opportunity. Like I say, 1/3 of the world's population speaks Spanish, right? That is a massive market. And if you have a cultural understanding, then you would be crazy not to go after that market because it's huge, right? You just got to find your point of difference. So, Shamil. So who else? Chris. I like roofing in New Zealand. Yep. I have the roofers, but I have not been successful in getting leads from house owners who need roofing services. How do you guys get these leads? I have my own website, your Facebook ads, lead magnet, Google. So mate, you've got to look at size of population, right? You've got to look at what people are searching for, what are the trends in the roofing market, right? You've got to look at your trends in your messaging, and then you've got to actually massage your message, do your A/B split testing to be able to generate those leads. In fact, Chris, because you're in a smaller market, what I would do is I'll probably do a pay per lead model as opposed to a pay per month on service model. What I do is say, hey, I'm going to go and generate 100 leads. How much are you going to pay me 100 leads? I bet you they'll pay for 100 leads. They'll probably pay about $6,000 to $10,000 for 100 leads. Now, for 100 leads, your cost of acquisition is going to be probably about, depending on how specialized your focus is, it's going to cost you between 15 and 40 bucks a lead. Now, if you're charging 70 bucks a lead, you're going to keep $30 to $40 out of every lead. So you can make $3,000 to $4,000 out of every 100 leads. That's a no-brainer model. So maybe the model you need to look at is a pay-per-lead model rather than a management model. And also the volume of search is going to be key in the market. You might be better off targeting the Australian market as well. That's a much broader or a larger marketplace, especially on the Eastern Seaboard, because you've got 3 cities that have more than 2 million people in the population. So you've got a much better chance of getting the spread in this market, or you can go further afield, go to the US market, and that market is worth $60 billion a year, and they need all the leads up the wazoo. So to make it work in New Zealand, you might have to take consideration of the fact that your country has a certain limited population, and so there's only going to be a certain search volume for that particular service in the market. Yeah, yeah, mate, you're not going to get a lot of leads for $400. Yeah, I don't know what the cost per lead is in New Zealand, but you've got to do your homework on your cost per lead. Yeah, in doing that. So I don't know if that helps you. I don't know if that helps you, Chris. But maybe target the Australian market as well. It's going to give you a much broader market as well in terms of what you're doing. Shamil Rodriguez, I am going to unmute you because you said you wanted to share something from a differentiated point of view. So I'm just going to allow you to talk. You there, Shamil?
Hello, John.
Hey man, how you doing? So you've been doing your laps. You followed my process with laps. Tell me how you're going. Just give me an update.
No, it's great. I ended up just shooting a text messages out to folks that I had a warm network in my warm network, and
yeah.
I had one call. I sent them text literally yesterday. They jumped on one before the webinar, and I got one at 7 immediately after this. So in a few minutes, I'm on the East Coast, yep. And during that first call, it surprised me, well, doing more laps as I'm texting more people, it surprised me that they knew that we got on for web design. They're not investing in the advertising now, so we left that alone, but they know me at my job, and they were like, look, we love that you turned everything virtual for your boss at your current job. We'd like for you to do that for us as well, because the courts are currently closed. But we still have to meet with our clients. We still have to meet with judges and the opposing counsel virtually. Yeah. So that's something you could do for us. I said, sure, I'll put a proposal together for you. And then I thought, okay, I know how to do it. I was like, I've never done consulting in that way or priced it out. Like, that's a whole new world for me. But I thought that was a niche that, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, you've done one of the critical factors is you've listened to the market very intently and said, okay, yeah, I want to help you out. So let's look at what that looks like. You know, this is something, you know, this is something for you, Shamil, that can actually turn into something very significant, because if you build the system for one, then you can replicate the system over and over and over again. You can productize this as a service to the marketplace. So just the fact that you've gone out to your familiar list and the fact that they say, hey, we've known you, but the differentiation that they've picked up on and say, we know you went virtual over there. They're asking you, how do you do this for us? Right?
Yeah,
so now what you're going to do is go, great. Let's work on a strategy to make you go virtual, right? In the marketplace. So that's awesome, man. Well done. And congratulations on following through on the stuff that I've been teaching too.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely, John. Thank you. I'm just following your lead. I really appreciate it. I wanted to share that with you.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Any other questions? Happy to answer any other questions here. If you haven't already, go to consultingunleashedlive.com. Where are we? That should be there. Go to consultingunleashedlive.com. Hang on, let me just and go and grab yourself a ticket. As I said, this will sell out. We've got a whole bunch of people here who've already grabbed a ticket, which is great. Every ticket is supporting an amazing number of people. So I'm super excited about this. And I really want to thank those who are here, who are coming on Saturday, who've purchased a ticket by going to consultingunleashedlive.com for our Sales Blitz Intensive. 6 clients in 60 days. That's the goal. 1 client every 10 days. I'm going to walk you through exactly what you need to do. We're going to record it, going to give you the slides, going to give you the access, private group. If you jump in there now, there's already some training there available for you in the membership area. If you buy this ticket, you'll get a bonus training to get you kicked off. But I'm super psyched to be able to deliver this on Saturday. We're going to have a lot of fun out there in the marketplace. So happy to answer any other questions. If you have some questions in the chat, just post your question. I'll take another question, or any takeaways or anything else you want me to elaborate on. I'm happy to elaborate on that for you here. because there's a whole bunch of you here, which is great to see. Can the Latin translation... Can Latin translation be a distraction? If you're going to chase the Latin market, then communicate in the language. If you are multilingual, then allow your website to be multilingual. Do you teach the pay-per lead model in Consulting Unleashed? Craig, we do cover the pay-per lead model. It's one of the easiest models on the planet to do. All you got to do is build a brand and an entity within a marketplace, start generating leads, proof of concept, go to the market, say how many leads you want, and Bob's your uncle. Probably the best guy in the world that I know that does this well is a guy called Dan Wardrop. I would highly recommend you go to flexible.com. Dan is an absolute genius when it comes to the pay-per lead model. And he is worth every penny. That every tens of thousands of dollars you invest in him, he's worth every penny. But yeah, if you want to go and find the expert in pay-per lead, Dan Wardrop, we do talk about it in Consulting Champions and as a model, because it's an agency model. It's a very different model, but if you can make it work, you can do really well. But I know a lot of people who've gone broke over the pay-per lead model as well. So you really got to know what you're doing. So yes. Any other questions? Otherwise, go and grab your ticket at Sales Blitz Intensive. Go to consultingunleashedlive.com. This video is going to be popped up into the YouTube channel. This video is also going to be popped up into the Facebook group. So I'd highly encourage you to jump on this event. By the way, we will close out the tickets. I'm hoping to close out the tickets in the next 48 hours. So I think we can in the next 48 hours close out the sales for this ticket. So if you want to come on, or if you've been thinking about it, please grab your ticket, because as I said, when I close the doors, that is it. We will be fully subscribed. We would have helped thousands of families in the world through the ticket sales. And I'm really looking forward to having you on that live on Saturday, May 23rd. So with that, any other questions? Happy to take one more question. Otherwise, I'm going to say thank you, and I'd love to see you at the Sales Blitz Intensive if you go to consultingunleashedlive.com. Any questions? Happy to answer any questions. If you've got a takeaway, share your takeaway. If you had a win, share your win. If you've been following me for the last 57 days of trainings, I'd love for you to share them. We've got a new podcast that's going to be launched very soon. So that's going to be up and running. We've got a whole bunch of episodes coming out, so you'll be able to see other resources. We're going to be interviewing some pretty cool people on that podcast around the world. So keep an eye out for that. So, okay, look, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you hopping on board. I'm going to be here same time, same channel tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you share this with other people in the marketplace. If you know anybody who should be here and jump on these live trainings, I'm literally sharing a different topic every single day, focusing on the things that you can do to leverage your business. I hope you pick some ideas up from what we've shared today in terms of differentiating yourself or standing out from the crowd, and you picked one of these things. Like in every training you do, if you've invested an hour of your time in coming along and doing training, what I highly recommend you do is you to take one thing from this training and go and apply it today. Take one thing from this training and go apply it. The idea is you want to get feedback. You want to actually, the only way you're going to learn is to actually do, right? Just sitting here lurking every day, hopping on, thinking that this is some sort of motivational G-up, that's a waste of your time. You might as well spend that time going getting customers and not listening to me. But if you're going to be here and you're going to invest time in learning and getting to improve yourself, take one thing that you've picked up from today's training, look at your notes, pick the one thing and apply it today. Go and try it today, right? So that you get feedback, because when you apply or implement what you learn, you're actually going to improve. But if you're just sitting there gaining information, consuming information, all you're going to be is an knowledgeable derelict. And the world does not need more knowledge and knowledgeable derelict. The world right now needs action takers. They need people to do things, to create things, to be innovative. And that's all you that have turned up here, right? One of the reasons you're turning up here is because you want to be that person. And you already are by doing that. But at the end of the day, it only works if you do, right? Shamil, applied his learning, is getting a result, walking himself into a customer by applying the teachings that we've had here on these trainings. So thank you to those who come along. Thank you to the new faces here. Thank you to those who are watching this replay on YouTube and in the Consulting Unleashed Facebook group. I look forward to seeing you same time, same bad channel. It will be at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Take care, everybody.